All right. Hello, everybody. And if you are watching the replay, I'm here in my childhood bedroom in Peterborough, and this class is going to be just a touch shorter because I'm going to the Peterborough Theater at 7. So instead of me giving kind of a speech about something today or an info seminar, I thought maybe I'd just tell a story. And I actually told um, this story this week when I was speaking in front of the University Women's Club in Hamilton. And really, the theme of the story is connections. And I was thinking kind of about legacy a little bit. I'm kind of been pondering this idea of legacy lately. Like, what is legacy? What do we leave behind, or what's the legacy I've already left behind? I think I've told you stories before where I've run into campers that I worked with 20 years ago and now they're in university and they remember me, right? Like the legacy of the energy we leave behind or the actions that we take. And I've always felt really strongly about that, or about legacy and the ripple effect of what we do. And I've been thinking about where I kind of learned that from, or why it's important for me, and why I love doing the job that I'm doing. And I love doing the work that I do. And I love connecting with all of you in groups and individually and in smaller groups and bigger groups and in one on one. And where did I get that from? So, this is who I got it from. And some of you might have heard these stories before. This story. This is who I got it from. So, this is my grandma and my grandpa. I think this picture was taken around 1946, and it's at my cottage, which I still go to, which you guys will see on the screen at some point this summer, and many of you have seen on screen already. So this is them at my cottage, opening up the cottage, probably in their first year of marriage. So this is my grandma Mary Helen Muir, and this is my grandpa William Kenneth Muir. Aren't they beautiful? So both of them taught me something about connection. My grandma taught me the importance of the little connections and the connecting with the people. Um, when she passed away, at her funeral, there was actually standing room in the back, and there were people there. They're like, "I pumped your grandma's gas." Right? Like she literally, and we're like, and he's like, "I had to be here. Every time she came once a week to get her tank filled, she always asked me how I was, and she was genuinely interested." And my grandma would only go to the full service gas station, right? So these connections. So my grandma really taught me the value of those smaller connections, and that it's okay to say hi to people on the street, and it's okay to ask them curious questions. And I've talked about this before, but my grandma's number one question, first of all, she would always find a way in. So she would say, "Oh, that's an interesting shirt. Where'd you get that from?" Or, "Oh, you're wearing a uniform. What's the uniform for?" Or, "That's an interesting bracelet," something to like pull people in. And then her second question would be, "What do you do for fun?" And then she'd usually follow that up with a curious question about that. Well, what does that mean? What do you do for that, right? And within those three questions, my grandma could always get to the passion of what a person is, or the root of what their passions are, or what they feel strongly about. And then she'd take the time to have a conversation with them. And once we were at this restaurant together, and you're all sitting on picnic tables, long picnic tables, a hole in the wall, Montreal smoked meat place. And we all sit down, and my grandma's sitting beside a stranger, and she's like, "Oh, that's interesting. You're wearing a uniform. What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm a limo driver. There's my limo out there." And then she goes, "Oh, that's really interesting. Do you enjoy that job?" He's like, "Yeah, it's all right. It's a job." And she goes, "Okay, well, what do you do for fun?" And then, we're not really paying attention. And then, 2 minutes later, this guy's speaking Klingon to my grandma, right? And so it turns out he's a Trekkie. He dresses up as a full Klingon. He knows all the language, and he goes to the Star Trek conventions. So, my grandma could always find a way in. And then my grandpa taught me the value. My grandpa was a very quiet, um, he wasn't like a quiet with a wallop, he was just a quiet man. Like he was an introvert, really. My grandpa was just a quiet, gentle man. And later on in his life, he developed a form of dementia where you become nonverbal. So you're not connecting to your vocabulary anymore, and you're not able to actually speak, even though you're still in there. So it was difficult and hard to watch. It wasn't Alzheimer's, it was a form of dementia, but he also was able to keep those really deep connections. He had these amazingly expressive eyebrows, and he'd be doing things like this, and he'd be connecting with us. And before he completely lost his ability to speak, my sister and I realized that um, he probably was going to forget to buy my grandma a Christmas present. So we went out with my grandma and him, and we went to a store that just had lovely things, like a touristy kind of store. And my grandma's walking around looking at things, and we're trying to notice what my grandma's looking at. And, so we pull my grandpa aside and we say, "Okay, grandpa, is there anything in the store that you like?" And my grandpa goes, "Yep, my wife." And I know you can cry if you want to. It taught me that the deep connections that we make will always be there. And my grandpa knew who we were. He knew who I was. He knew who we all were, all the way up until the end. And so they taught me the value of both kinds of connections. And I think we need to remember you just need one deep connection. That's it. Just one. You can have more, but if you just have one to start, great. And you can have plenty of those other smaller connections and just say hi to people on the street. And sometimes just saying hi to someone, or I talk to the baristas, at my cafe all the time. Any connection to human beings matter. And that's what my grandparents taught me. The value of any type of connections, and that they matter, but to have intention with them, right? And to value them. And not all connections need to be deep. They can be light. They can be a one-time connection and a one-time conversation with someone, but they matter, and that is part of the legacy that you leave on the world. And that's a story about my grandma and grandpa, the two things that I've learned from them. So, if anything came up for you in that today, I want you to take the 2 minutes of silence at the beginning to just contemplate and think, and know that all of you have a legacy already. You've all had an impact on me. The relationships that I have with all of you, and we've all had an impact on each other as a community and doing our check-ins and those kinds of things. And I value you, and we all value each other, and that's really important. And know that the person that you smiled on the street today, if you smiled at someone on the street, that meant something to them too, right? All connections matter. uh we've got in the chat box a Klingon word, so thank you, Roma. She knows a Klingon word. I'm gonna guess at pronouncing this. Kapla, which means success. So that's a great Klingon word to know. Roma. Yeah.
Kapow.
Say it again.
Wow.
Kaplow.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We all know a Klingon word now.
It's the only one I know.
We all know a Klingon word now. Yeah, and yeah, thinking about, the legacy and what your parents taught you, your grandparents or whatever, but relationships are interesting, right? They're not all good and they're not all bad, but to look back and think about what we've learned from people in our life, even if they're not in our life anymore, whether, the relationship went sour and it left us and we left it, or whatever, that you can find those little nuggets in there, and those little nuggets of connection always teach us something, and really give us our human experience. So that's my chat for today, and we're gonna do our meditation now, everybody. I'm not even gonna do the reminders. Remember that letting go is about, it's not about forgetting or repressing. It's about acknowledging what's happened to us, to thank it, even if it was maybe not a pleasant experience, but that we've learned from it, and it's created the amazing human beings that you are and that we are. Right? So, yeah, we've got lots coming in the chat box too. I spent every Saturday with my grandma, pretty special. Yeah, so those kinds of connections are important. And let's get ready to meditate. So, of course, what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to check our the basic physiological needs. We're going to do a brain fitness exercise, and we're going to do a meditation. So let's check in on our physiological needs, everybody. Food, are you hungry? Water, are you overhydrated or underhydrated? Do you need to go pee? Do you need to grab some chapstick or have a sip of water if your mouth is dry? Body temperature. How's your body temperature today? Because man, mine's been up and down all day because when in the shade it's kind of cool, but in the sun it was kind of hot. So my body temperature this time of year definitely fluctuates, and maybe it's because I'm turning 43 next week, but I'm gonna say no, it's not that. I'm in denial. So body temperature, shelter, are you in a safe physical space? Do you want to dim the lights, light a candle, open the window? I have fresh air coming in today. Maybe you're somewhere where you can hear nature in the background and you want to have the window open. And of course, sleep if you are tired. Do the meditation lying down, everybody. We're just going to do very simple connect to the midline today. So come on with me. Come to the front edge of your chair. Put your feet flat on the floor. 5 fingers. Just imagine you're holding a ball of energy, maybe calming energy, maybe it's joyful energy, maybe it's contemplative. And very slowly absorb that ball of energy until your palms are touching. Cross your fingers over, cross your thumbs over, take a big breath. Okay, everybody, take me to wherever you want to go for our visualization today. Lying down, sitting up, outside, inside, wherever you want to do our visualization today. No, give me just a moment. I'm hearing a police car right there. All right. You find your spot and I'll make sure that it's nice in here. The window's closed. Okay, everyone, let's begin. Bringing your focus to the top of your head, down to your forehead, noticing if there's any tension in your forehead or your face. Shrugging your eyebrows up and down, wiggling your nose, releasing any tension in your sinuses, bringing your focus to your jaw, letting that lower jaw hang, releasing any tension there, taking a big breath in, big breath out, shrugging your shoulders up and down, and release. Bringing your focus further down your arms, all the way down to your hands, scrunching your hands into tight fists, and release, wiggling your fingers, relieving any tension in the arms, letting that tension float out of your fingertips. Placing your hand on your heart, and just feel it beating for a minute. Just connect into yourself. Notice if your breathing becomes a little deeper. And bringing your focus further down to your belly button, squeezing it really tight. And releasing. By releasing that, letting your abdominals hang out, you're relieving pressure from your hips, your lower back. Bring your focus further down, squeezing your glute muscles together, and release. Further down, all the way down to your knees, squeezing the muscles around your knees, and release.
Squeezing your calf muscles and release all the way down to your toes. Just do a quick body scan. Is there any tension left anywhere else? Pull that tension all the way down to your toes, scrunching those toes together. Taking a big breath in, big exhale out, wiggling those toes, letting any tension float out of your fingertips, your toe tips. We're going to take a minute of quiet to just connect into ourselves. Know that that voice that you hear inside your head, the first voice you hear, that's your subconscious brain telephoning you, bringing you information. And know that you can talk back. Know that you can tell your subconscious brain what you want to focus on or the patterns you want to change. So just take a moment to enjoy some time with yourself and have a conversation focusing inwards. And I'll be back to start the visualization. Finishing up whatever thought you may be having. If anything came up for you that you'd like to practice letting go, take this moment to tell your subconscious brain that's what you'd like to focus on. It's also okay if nothing came up for you. Know that these visualizations are designed to talk directly to your subconscious brain. You don't have to try to control anything. You don't have to force anything. Just sit back and listen and let your brain and your spirit do the work for you. Let's bring our focus to the points of contact that we have with the earth. It's your feet on the floor. Maybe it's your head on a pillow. Taking a deep breath in, big exhale, sinking down into those points of contact. Acknowledging that you are always supported just by being a human being on the face of the earth. Gravity will never let you fly away. You are worthy just because you are. Taking another big breath in, big breath out, sinking down into the palm of the earth's hand. Saying to yourself, it is safe to breathe. It is safe to connect to my inner world. It is safe to practice letting go. I want you to imagine that you are in a place in nature. Any place. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you? The first place of nature that comes to mind for you. Is it a forest, a beach, a mountain, a desert? Whatever comes to mind to you, for you. And this place feels safe for you, familiar. Maybe you feel a sense of wonder, a sense of awe. Perhaps it's a place that exists in the real world. but you know that you've been to this place before. And I want you to look around. What do you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? Is there anything you can taste? What can you touch? Is there anything soft you can touch? Anything warm you can touch? Look up, look down, look all around, and just really immerse yourself in this wonderful, beautiful place in nature. And as you're experiencing this space, you realize that this is a place inside your mind that you can come to connect to yourself, to maybe feel a bit of magic, and to also do a little work on yourself, knowing that you're fully supported. So you feel that nostalgia of this place, that familiarity, the wonder. As you're walking through your place in nature, you notice up ahead a clearing, a brightness. And you're curious, what is that? What is that brightness or that space up ahead? And you walk towards it, letting your curiosity take over. And once you get to that opening, that clearing, there's a clear open space. So if you're in the woods, perhaps it turns into a field. If you're on the beach, perhaps the beach gets wider. And in the middle of this clearing, there's a table. What does your table look like? What's it made out of? Is it made out of wood, out of steel, out of something natural? Perhaps it's a big rock. This table is very familiar to you. I want you to walk right up to it. Place your hands on it. What's its temperature? Is it warm? Is it cool? But the one thing that you notice about this table for sure is it is incredibly strong and sturdy. It's infallible. It can hold whatever weight you put on it. And you acknowledge that it's a part of you. You're strong and you can hold that weight, but this table helps you do it. And when you realize that, you look down to the table and an object appears. It might be one, it might be two. And you get curious about the object. So you pick it up. What does it feel like in your hands? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it spiky? Is it smooth? Is it hot? Is it cold? And as you're kind of investigating this object, you realize that this object represents something that you'd like to let go of today. That this table's been holding the weight for you. And when the table brings this object to you, that means you're ready to let it go. Saying to the object, thank you, but I no longer need you. Thank you, but I no longer need you. And you put that object back on the table. And as soon as you do, you feel a lightness. You feel a confidence. You feel sure. And you say to it one more time, thank you, but I no longer need you. And that object starts to crumble into tiny little pieces and crumble into tiny little pieces of energy and light. And a gust of wind comes and it picks up the pieces of the object and it blows them away. And you watch them float into the horizon and completely disappear. And you feel light and free, proud of yourself for letting go. Perhaps you feel a joy, a relief, taking a big breath in, big breath out, and you place your hands on the table and you thank it for supporting you. Thank you for supporting me. I no longer need you today, but I will see you again soon. Knowing that that table has facilitated this object for so long, but also facilitated that object in disappearing and flying away. And as soon as you say that, the table disappears. And in its place, a warm, comfortable place to sit. Perhaps it's a beautiful patch of moss. Perhaps it's a comfy chair. And you sit down in this warm, comfy place. And you feel a warm, loving, golden light spreading from the tip of your head all the way down to your toes. And in this state of warmth, you feel a sense of abundance, a sense of thankfulness, a sense of empowerment, and a deep connection to yourself. And you feel open and ready with the space you've cleared to fill it with many things that meet your emotional needs and to realize the abundance you have in your life. And so you decide to do a calling in. And you say out loud to the world, I'm calling in being aware of the profound sense of beauty that resonates within me when I connect with others. I'm calling in more connections, whether they are small and only happen one time, or whether they are deep and long, knowing that all connection matters and helps me to experience love and the human connection. I know that my body holds immense wisdom, and that if I listen to it, it can guide me towards healing and wellness. So I'm calling in the ability to listen to my body and learn from it. I know that I was made to create, to connect with others, and to love. I'm calling in being open to easily receiving love and connection. I'm choosing to believe that I am magnificent. I'm calling in joy, connection, strength, and love. Feeling this sense of abundance and knowing that you have many of these things in your life already, but you are open to having more and that you deserve more. You are worthy. And as you're feeling this profound sense of gratitude and abundance, I'd like you to set your intention to a person, perhaps a place in nature, maybe even an animal for your gratitude meditation today. What do you love about them? How do you want to make them feel? Tell them now. I want you to imagine that there's a beam of light coming right from your heart, traveling all over the world to wherever this person, place, or animal is, and that they're receiving this message. And know that they are right now. And say to them, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for, may you be well. May you be joyful. May you feel connected. And may you be safe and at ease. And placing your hand on your own heart, giving it a rub, saying to yourself, may I be well. May I choose to be connected in small and big ways. May I be joyful. May I feel safe and at ease. And when you're ready to come back to the outside world, you can start to wiggle your eyebrows, wiggle your nose, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. You can rock back and forth gently. Take a few deep breaths and come on back for checkout. You can let us know in the chat box how you feel. And this will also be a great recording for a quick one, right? So a nice quick letting go, and know that we can still do it in a short amount of time as we can in that long amount of time and still get something out of it.